Before we begin, I want you to sit with a number. Just one number, 3 to 4. Men are 3 to 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women. Not slightly more likely, not marginally, 3 to 4 times. In a world that talks constantly about mental health, in a generation that has more access to support than any generation before it, in a time when the conversation has never been louder or more visible or more available, men are still dying at 3 to 4 times the rate in silence. And the second number that sits alongside that one, the number that explains the first, men are significantly less likely to seek mental health support, not slightly less, significantly, which means the crisis is not invisible. The crisis is that the people inside it have been taught directly and indirectly, explicitly and implicitly, since before they were old enough to understand what they were being taught, that asking for help is a form of failure, that struggling means weakness, that the appropriate response to pain, to real, legitimate human pain, is silence performance, the projection of a version of strength that requires everything to be fine, even when everything is not fine. Especially then, this video is not a lecture. It is not a list of resources. It is not a performance of concern. It is a direct conversation with a man who is carrying something right now that he has not told anyone about. If that is you, stay with me. This one is for you, specifically, completely, without apology. Let us talk about what is actually happening, because the numbers are not abstract. The numbers are men, specific men with names, with people who loved them, with things they were carrying that nobody knew about, because they were taught that carrying it alone was what men do. Men account for approximately 75% of all suicide deaths in most developed countries, 75% in the United States alone. Men die by suicide at a rate of more than 3 times that of women. In the United Kingdom 3 times, in Australia 3 times, in Kenya, in South Africa, the numbers are higher. Across every culture, every economic background, every age group, the pattern is the same. Men die in silence, at rates that should constitute a public health emergency, and the research on why is both devastating and precise. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Men's Health identified what researchers called masculine norms, the internalized set of beliefs about what men should be, should feel, should express, and should never admit, as one of the strongest predictors of psychological distress in men. Not the distress itself, the refusal to acknowledge it, the refusal to seek help for it, the refusal to speak about it in plain language. Men are not dying because they are weak. Men are dying because they were taught that the evidence of strength is the absence of any visible struggle, and so they carry it alone, for years, sometimes for entire lifetimes, until the weight becomes unbearable, and even then, even at the furthest edge of what a human being can sustain, many men still do not reach out, because reaching out was never framed as an option. It was framed as a defeat. I want to be specific about something. This is not about the men who are in acute crisis, although that matters enormously. This is about the man in the middle, the man who is functional, who shows up, who does the work, who takes care of everyone around him, and who has not slept properly in months, who has been running on a level of internal tension that he could not describe to anyone, who wakes up at 3 in the morning with something he cannot name, who has perfected the performance of being fine, and who has not once, not one single time, told anyone the truth about what is actually happening inside him. That man, this is for that man. Because the crisis in men's mental health is not only happening at the extreme end, it is happening in the middle, every day quietly, in the space between the performance and the reality that most men have learned to live in, without anyone ever knowing the distance between the two. 2,000 years ago, a man wrote something in a private journal that was never meant to be read, not for publication, not for legacy, not for the history books that would eventually carry his name. He wrote it for himself, because even the most powerful man in the known world, Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, a man who commanded armies and governed nations, and held more authority than any single person alive at the time could fully comprehend, was struggling, and he knew it, and he wrote about it, privately, honestly, without performance. What he wrote was this: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Let me tell you what this sentence actually means. Not the motivational pastor version, not the surface reading, the full weight of what Marcus was actually saying. He was not saying that outside events do not matter. He was not saying that what happened to you is not real. He was not saying that the pain is not legitimate. He was not saying think positive and everything will be fine. He was saying something far more demanding and far more honest than that. He was saying that the only domain you have complete sovereignty over, the only territory that belongs entirely and irrevocably to you, is what happens inside your own mind, not your circumstances, not what other people do, not the losses, not the betrayals, not the failures, not the things that were taken, not the things that never arrived. Those happened, and you cannot unmake them, but the story you tell yourself about them, the meaning you assign to them, the conclusion you draw about yourself because of them, the lens through which you interpret every future experience based on them, that is yours completely. Marcus Aurelius was telling you that is the thing nobody can take. Now here is what makes this specifically important for men: the masculine conditioning that produces the 3 to 4 times suicide rate, the conditioning that says struggle must be silent and pain must be hidden and help must never be sought, operates almost entirely in the domain Marcus was describing. It is a story, a specific story about what strength means, about what asking for help means, about what it means about you as a man if you admit that you are not fine. And Machiavelli understood something complementary. He said it differently, but he was pointing at the same truth. Before all else, be armed, not with weapons, with yourself, with the internal resources that mean no circumstance can reach the part of you that decides who you are, the man who has power over his mind, the man who understands that the story he is telling himself about his struggle is not the struggle itself, the man who can separate the event from the interpretation. That man is not weak. That man is the most dangerous and most free version of himself, because he understands that the strength was never in the silence. The strength is in the clarity, the specific clarity of someone who can look at what is happening inside them, without flinching, without performing, without the performance of strength that costs everything and produces nothing. Marcus Aurelius sat alone and wrote the truth about his own mind, not because he was weak, because he was honest. And honesty with yourself, radical, complete, non-negotiated honesty, is the first and most difficult form of strength there is. You have power over your mind. Realize this, and you will find strength. Not a different kind of strength, the real kind, the kind that does not require perfect circumstances to hold its shape, the kind that was always available, the kind that has been waiting for you to stop performing long enough to find it. In the middle of the 20th century, 2 psychologists working independently arrived at essentially the same discovery. Beck and Albert Ellis. Beck was a psychiatrist at the University of Pennsylvania. He was trained in psychoanalysis, the dominant psychological framework of his time, and he was treating patients with depression, and he kept noticing something. The suffering was not simply a product of what had happened to them. It was a product of what they were telling themselves about what had happened to them, a specific pattern of thinking. Beck called it cognitive distortions. Automatic, largely unconscious, systematically negative thought patterns that shaped how people interpreted their experiences. Not the experiences themselves, the interpretation. Around the same time, Ellis, a psychologist in New York, was developing what he called rational emotive behavior therapy. His central insight was almost identical. It is not the event that causes the emotional disturbance. It is the belief about the event. Together, through decades of research, clinical practice, and rigorous testing, these 2 men built the foundation of what became cognitive behavioral therapy, the most extensively researched and most widely practiced psychological treatment in the world, with thousands of studies demonstrating its effectiveness across virtually every domain of psychological distress. And the insight at its core, the thing that both Beck and Ellis arrived at independently, that Marcus Aurelius intuited 2,000 years before either of them was born, is the same insight. You have power over your mind, not outside events, in practical terms. In the language Beck and Ellis developed, it works like this. Something happens, that is the event. The event is neutral. What the event means, what it says about you, about the world, about the future, is not the event. It is the thought about the event, and the thought produces the feeling, and the feeling produces the behavior. For men specifically, the thought that is doing the most damage is almost never about the event itself. It is about what admitting the struggle means. The thought that says, if I acknowledge this, I am weak. If I ask for help, I am a burden. If I tell someone the truth about what is happening inside me, they will see me differently. They will respect me less. They will need me less. They will leave. Those thoughts are not facts. They are cognitive distortions, automatic, systematically inaccurate, and measurably destructive. Beck would call them arbitrary inference, drawing negative conclusions without supporting evidence. Ellis would call them irrational beliefs, absolute demands placed on the self that no human being can consistently meet, and both of them, in the accumulated evidence of thousands of clinical hours and hundreds of research studies, would tell you the same thing. The thought is not the truth. The thought is a story, and stories, unlike events, can be examined, questioned, tested, revised. This is what therapy actually is. Not lying on a couch and talking about your childhood, not performing vulnerability for a stranger who takes notes. It is the specific and practical process of identifying the thoughts that are running automatically. The ones that say asking for help means weakness, and asking the one question that changes everything. Is that actually true? Is it actually true that the man who reaches out is weaker than the man who does not? Or is it possible that the man who reaches out has something the silent man does not? The clarity to understand that no human being, not Marcus Aurelius, not the strongest man you have ever met, not anyone, was built to carry everything alone, forever, in silence, without cost. Beck's research showed that men who engaged in cognitive behavioral therapy demonstrated significant reductions in depressive symptoms, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. Ellis's work showed that the moment a person could identify and challenge the irrational belief, the belief that their worth depended on never struggling, the distress began to lose its structural support. The wall was not the pain. The wall was the thought that the pain had to be hidden. Remove that thought, and the wall begins to come down. This is the science. This is what two of the greatest psychological minds of the 20th century spent their entire careers documenting. And it points to the same place Marcus Aurelius pointed, the same place Machiavelli pointed, the same place every honest conversation about men's mental health has to point. The power is in the mind, not the silence, not the performance, not the endurance of something that was never meant to be endured alone. I want to speak directly to the man who is still watching this, not the man who is fine, not the man who watched this out of curiosity, the man who is still here because something in this video recognized something in him, the man who felt something shift somewhere in the last minutes, who heard the number 3 to 4 times and thought of someone, or thought of himself. I want to say something to that man, something that the world has not said enough, something that the research supports, something that Marcus Aurelius wrote for himself because even he needed to hear it. You are not weak for struggling. You are not less of a man because the weight is heavy. You are not failing because you cannot carry everything alone indefinitely. You are not the burden you were afraid of being. The belief that you are, that specific thought, is the thing Beck was describing. It is a cognitive distortion. It is automatic, it is inaccurate, and it is the single most expensive thought you will ever carry, because it is the thought that stands between you and the thing that would actually help. Asking, that is all, just asking, not performing vulnerability, not dismantling the identity you have built, not becoming someone you are not. Just telling one person, one honest person in one safe room, the truth about what is happening. That is the action Machiavelli was pointing at when he said before all else be armed. The man who is armed with honesty about his own internal state, who can look at what is actually there without flinching, is the most dangerous and most free version of himself, not because the struggle disappears, but because he is no longer fighting the struggle and hiding the struggle simultaneously. That second fight, the hiding, is the one that costs everything and produces nothing. Stop fighting that one. The research is clear. The philosophy is clear. 2,000 years of clear, and the clearest thing of all. The man who asks for help is not weaker than the man who does not. He is further along. He made the harder decision, the one that required more courage, not less. If you are carrying something right now, if there is a weight that has been present for longer than it should have been, if you have been performing fine while something underneath that performance has been quietly asking to be seen, this is the permission. You were looking for permission, here it is. Tell someone, a friend, a family member, a professional, a stranger in a comment section who asked a question at the end of a video. Tell someone, not because it will fix everything immediately, but because the moment you do, the moment the weight goes from something carried alone in silence to something spoken, it changes, not because the words are magic, because the silence was the heaviest part. And the silence just ended. Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. June. This video, this moment. If any part of this landed where it was meant to land, there is a comment section below, a community of people who are watching the same content, thinking the same things, carrying some version of the same weight. You do not have to name it. You do not have to explain it. Just drop a comment, anything. The act of showing up in a comment section, of saying something, anything however small, is a version of the thing Marcus Aurelius was describing, power over your mind, exercised. The strongest thing a man can do is tell the truth about what is actually happening inside him to someone who can actually help. Marcus Aurelius did it in a private journal 2,000 years ago, in the dark, alone for himself. You do not have to be alone. That is the difference between then and now. Use it.